Hi, my name's Tracy Tonning. I'm a chef here at Hy-Vee Waterfront. Been cooking for over 30 to 35 years. Previously, before Iowa City, I was in New Orleans, Kansas City, as well as Atlanta. There's so many delicious foods out there and so many ways to make them Larapin. Larapin is a Southern expression used to describe excellent food. And in this series, I will share my knowledge and some great recipes that will not only improve your skills in the kitchen, but also expand your knowledge of the foods you eat. Welcome to Larapin Cooking with Chef Tracy. Today what we're going to be exploring are, I'm going to call it Larapin holiday foods. Holiday foods you understand, but Larapin is a word that I use throughout the store. You'll see my little sticker of Larapin, which means it's a hillbilly word for good food. So if you have some biscuits and gravy and they're really good, you say, that was Larapin. So I've kind of focused on that aspect of trying to go ahead and do good foods. So we're going to focus on 3 different types of holiday foods. I'm going to show you a different twist on turkey, about half the time of cooking, show you how to bone out the turkey and stuff it without the bones in it, and it only takes maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to cook. I'm going to show you a mashed sweet potato brulee with candied pecans, and also I'm calling it an apple pie rose. Different take on apple pie, and it's a little bit more finesse that we're going to go ahead and do. All right, we're going to go ahead and start with the apple pie rose, if you would like to call it that. What I've already done for us here is I've taken some Braeburn apples, sliced them very thin, and put a teaspoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, and a tablespoon of water, and mix that all together and cook them just till they're slightly soft and let them cool down. You can see a little bit of glaze in the bottom. I finished it right at the end with just a touch of butter, which you'll see what I'm going to use that for later. What I have here is some pie dough. Have it nice and squared off. I'm going to cut it about 1.5 inch strips straight down. They don't have to be perfect. I'm going to get them all cut first. Slide these over, do one at a time. What you want to do is you're going to take just barely above the top of the dough are the thin apple slices. Overlap them about halfway down. When you get down to the end, you're going to take this and just roll it up. So if it starts to slide out, just go ahead and push it back in there. We're going to put it in a small cupcake dish. We're going to repeat this a few times here. You can use any kind of apple. I like the Braeburns myself. You can use Granny Smith if you want a green rose. I guess Golden Delicious if you want a yellow rose, but the red seems to come out the best. You want to kind of stick them down in there so they'll stay. We're going to make up 4 of them today. But you'll just want to repeat this. I only have 2 apples here. And I'd say 2 apples is going to make you about 7 or 8 of the roses. And this is just a half of a box of the already made pie dough mix. If you would like to make your own, that'll work as well. This is a little convenient, and it's a nice little twist on apple pie. You could do it on the holidays, or you could do it really any time. You can see the finished product here. They're going to look like roses. Once they bake out, the dough will get nice and crisp. But before you put them in the oven, we're going to sprinkle them with a little bit of cinnamon sugar and put just about a teaspoon of the cooking glaze in with them. So I'm just going to sprinkle that around. That's going to give the dough and the apples a little bit more flavor and sweetness. And then just cinnamon sugar right on top, give it that crunch. And of course, more flavor with the cinnamon and the sugar. You kind of flare them out a little bit before they get in the oven, so they look a little bit more like a rose. Just by running your finger around a little bit. Okay, we're going to put these in the oven. I have it at 350. They're going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. What you're looking for is the dough to get a little bit crispy. When that's crispy and ready, go ahead and pull them out, and I'll show you what they look like when they're done. Okay, so the next dish we're going to be doing, I'm going to show you basically a takeoff on a stuffed turkey. As we know, everybody recommends going ahead and putting turkey inside the cavity because it's never going to get up to the proper temperature inside the bird where it can kill any bacteria that may be there. And the stuffing usually does have eggs in it, most of them do. So basically it's a boneless stuffed turkey that we're going to end up doing here. So you have your whole turkey. That's been thawed out, drained. You're going to take, believe it or not, it's going to look like a turkey when it's all done. You'll see what I'm saying. You're going to turn it over on its breast, and with a sharp boning knife, make sure it's sharp because it's only going to be better for you. We're going to start right here at the thigh and just make a slight incision. You're not going any farther than a 1/4 inch in there alongside the backbone. This being the backbone right through here. You're going to go on both sides. Now your first bone that you want to find is going to be right in this area right here. You're going to leave that on the breast. So you're pulling back a little bit, and you're just going to be, I'm going to start making small incisions, whereas every time I hit the bone, I know I'm doing good. If I'm hitting too much meat, it means I'm cutting into the meat and I'm going to lose some of that meat off of there. So it's just small incisions coming down. I'm going to go after the wing here first. And we want to find where the wing joint is. So I'm just pulling the wing back, and there's the little knuckle right here. So I want to take the tip of my knife. I'm going to separate the tendons out and basically get my knife inside the knuckle and separate it down. Once again, small incisions, and I always feel the bone, the carcass of the bird every time that I cut. Because if I don't, then I'm cutting more meat off once again. Now we have to tackle the leg on this side. You can see you want to get under this is the thigh right here. You want to get under the thigh, and we're just looking for that joint once again. And by going ahead and just taking your knife, just the tip of your knife, real careful. And just, you want to get that joint out of there. It's just a matter of going in and wedging it out. Once you start doing this, you can see the natural separation there. So you want to use your knife just in that natural separation until you can get the leg free. Once the leg is free, you can see this is the breast meat right here. Now you want to leave as much of that on as possible. So I'm going to just take my knife. Once again, I'm going against the breastplate, the breastbone itself, and my knife's always touching the bone, and I don't want to cut through that meat. So you're going to get down to where the breastplate comes up, right here, and you could do it with your fingers here. Now we're done on this side. We have to repeat exactly what we did on the opposite side. So I'm going to turn around and make it a little easier for myself. Here you have one of your wing bones, which I want to get underneath that wing bone. We're going to leave that right on the carcass there. So one part of the turkey that I think's about the best part is called the oyster. I'm sure you've heard it before. It's right where the leg connects, leg connects to the carcass. Carcass isn't a nice word, I'll just say body from now on. And you just want to make sure you have that nice little nugget of meat there. I think it's about the best cut of meat on the bird. So again, you can see I'm going to start trying to manhandle the wing a little bit so I can find where the joint is. You see the little round tip of the joint where it meets into the socket there. I'm just going to go ahead and cut around that. The more you just do small incisions, you'll be able to find that little socket. It looks like it's lost in there, but once again, now I'm going to come down on the leg or the thigh with my knife up against the bone once again. I'm going to reach in, find the thigh bone until you can see where that socket is, which I could see right here. And just pry it off. Now, you can see the natural separation there. Once again, and you can see all the breast meat. I'm going to get the leg off of there first so I have something to look at a little bit better. But this is all the breast meat, the white meat right here. I'm just going to make small cuts and then kind of I'm going to start using gravity to my advantage. I'm just going to pull it so I can see where I have to go with my knife. A little bit on this side. A little bit on this side. When you can see both sides on that breastplate, I'm just holding it up and I'll start making slow. It's all going to come off by itself. You don't want to be cutting any bone here. So you have your carcass right here. Now this is the bird. It's about 9/10 done. What you want to do with the carcass and any other bones that we have is go ahead and roast them off. Make your stock. This could be done the night before. Make your stock. If you want to take more meat off of there, that's fine. but gives you the bones that you need to go ahead and make a proper stock. You want them nice and brown, a lot of gravies, sauces. They're very, very light in color. I think a nice, robust, dark color to a turkey gravy looks a lot nicer. So once again, roast this off, nice color. Get some stock made the night before, and that makes life a lot easier. You can do this the day before whenever you're having your holiday meal. So the next step, what we have, you see, I'm just going to kind of hold it up. It's just the carcass that's taken out, okay? We're going to leave the wings in there so it still looks like a bird. And all we're going to do is take the thigh bones out. So what you want to do, you can see the thigh bones right here. You can run your finger in there, you can run your knife in there until you can get your hand around that bone. When you get your hand around that thigh bone, come back. And all I did was just come back on it, trim it off, and now just bend it back on itself, and if it doesn't come off, just take your knife and always cut away from yourself so you don't cut yourself. I'm going to check one thing right now. They're not ready yet. We're going to repeat the same thing right here. So again, get your finger around the thigh bone. This is where that oyster is, so you want to leave that on there. Right here, this is that nice hunk of meat that I was telling you about. You can cut it down a little bit so it'll make it easier to take it off. So once you get it loose, just cut through those tendons. And now we'll get rid of this. Now I've made a chorizo stuffing, which peppers, onions, chorizo sausage, butter, and fresh breadcrumbs. A lot of people will make their stuffings with that little paper box of breadcrumbs, and they're pretty much stale bread. So by putting stale bread into a stuffing, it's going to taste like stale stuffing. Buy yourself a very inexpensive, or if it's a couple days old, couple bags of white bread, and go ahead and grind that up. It's going to make a much softer stuffing, and it's not going to taste stale. Same thing, anytime you're making a stuffing, use fresh bread instead of the stale bread, because all it does is taste like stale bread. I know everybody's done it that way for years and years, depending on your what you're going to be doing with it, but I find that using the fresh ones, it tastes a lot better. You want to season the inside of the bird. What I have here is salt, pepper, garlic, and dried basil, and you're going to be pretty liberal with this. By doing it this way as well, you're not sitting there trying to get seasoning inside the cavity of a bird with the bones, because it never really gets in there anyways. So you can see I took the two tenderloins that were right here, and I went ahead and folded them over to get a little bit more coverage of the meat itself. But once it's seasoned, we're going to take our stuffing, which has been cooled, make it the night before, or let it cool down in the refrigerator. You can do any type of stuffing. Like I said, I like chorizo, adds a nice flavor. Whatever flavored stuffing you're going to have, it's going to flavor the meat as well of the bird. But you're going to put a liberal amount on there and kind of pack it in so it's a nice little tube there. And what we're going to do, tuck that skin up a little bit. I'm just going to roll it over to make it look like a turkey again. Little trick with the wings here that you want to do before you go ahead and put it into the pan. Take the tip of the wing and just fold it back under. It's going to help the bird sit up a little bit so it doesn't burn on the stuffing. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And just we're going to fold it up. You want to cover the stuffing so it doesn't come out in the pan. The tricky part now is how to get it into the pan. It's really not that hard. Grab a hold of both wings, the legs. It's going to take a little molding to get it back to where it was. But your key part now is you want it to look like a turkey again. You don't want it to look like a stuffed whatever. And you could kind of trick, the fun part of this, you could trick people. Oh, look, my turkey's done. And then all you have to do, and I'll show you later how to carve it, it's a boneless turkey right now. And it's going to take a lot of the time out of cooking it. Get rid of this. Before it does go in the oven, we're going to rub it down with a little bit of, you can use butter. I like to use canola oil. I won't find any, right? Oh. Or olive oil works fine. This is going to help the skin crust up a little bit and turn nice and brown. Take that, rub it all the way around. I'm going to take the same seasoning that we used on the inside of the bird and go ahead and very liberal again on the outside of the bird. And there we go, we're ready to go with your boneless stuffed turkey. We're going to put that in the oven. It's going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to cook. You want to go ahead and put your thermometer in right through here. You want to have it reach 165 degrees. So one of the other dishes, everybody has sweet potatoes with pecans and those marshmallows all the time. What I like to do is a mashed sweet potato. You bake your potato, you'll peel it when it's warm, put it in a food processor, go ahead and add a little bit of butter, brown sugar, salt and pepper, and puree to the mashed consistency. You can make this once again the night before as well. While they're hot, you're going to heat this up. Basically put in a sprayed oven-proof dish, and what I have in the center here on both of these are sugared honey pecans. Go ahead and line them down. After the dish, put it in the oven. You want to get it hot. It takes maybe about 20 to 30 minutes to go ahead and get it hot all the way through. And then the fun part, right before you're ready to serve it, we're going to do what's called brulee, which basically translates to burnt. Everybody's had a creme brulee at one time or another, and all that translates to is burnt cream. So basically we're going to burn the sugar that's on top of this, and it's going to give us the same smell, very similar, I think a better flavor than a marshmallow. We're going to do the other one here. This way, by throwing the flame away from the nuts, you won't have a tendency to go ahead and caramelize the nuts or basically burn them. You do one side at a time. Be careful because the sides are still going to be hot. And I like to do 2 layers. If you want to do 4 or 5 layers and have more caramel and more crispy on there, go ahead, and it's not going to kill it, it's just going to get it sweeter. There you go, the sweet potato candied pecan brulee. Okay, and this is what we ended up with for the apple pie flowers. It's still going to be kind of hot. Just want to pull them out. I don't have much feeling left in my fingers, but if you want to use a fork, it'll probably be a little bit better. Just go ahead and get a hold of it. Without crushing it like that. And you could top these. If you want to top them with whipped cream, that's fine. I've been finding if you want to cut back a little bit on fat, whipped cream, and cut back on the whipped cream, is a good quality Greek vanilla yogurt. Just a small dollop on top of each one right before you serve it, and you don't have to use the cream with that. Now for what everybody goes ooh and ah about is our turkey. And I've just garnished that with some fresh parsley, sage, and rosemary. And for carving purposes, I'm going to take a boning knife and show you very quickly. So to finish and carve the bird, see, it looks like a regular bird. You can pull your garnishes off, but your main thing is you want to cut these wings out because you want to get a nice solid slice. For anybody, if someone likes the wings, they can go ahead and take them. Move the garnish up a little bit. And all I'm doing is just wherever my knife will go in, and just want to get that wing off of there. Set that to the side. And then for carving purposes, you can start wherever you want. And I just want to show you what the finished product will look like. Where you have your stuffing, you have your turkey, and up here you're going to have your turkey breast, and up here if somebody wants dark meat, you can have your turkey legs. So you have your stuffing. Basically your bird's stuffed, ready to go. It only took an hour and a half to do. That would be your final product, and we have our 4 apple pie flowers, and then our candied sweet potatoes with pecans. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope that your holidays are fruitful and you get to try some of these different dishes that I showed you today, and may all your holiday foods be Larapin.